for this. So very excited to get this going. Welcome, everyone. My name is NT Etuk. I'm the founder and CEO of FitGrid. And this year, FitGrid has been launching an initiative that we call the Recovery Revolution, Rise and Recover, where we think it's so compelling and so important for recovery to be incorporated into the business of what we do in the boutique fitness space. So we've partnered with Hyperice. Very excited to have Tanner Kaplan here with us. We partnered with Hyperice to take this on the road and really see if we can introduce new ways of engaging your members, new ways of getting revenue, in the studios, and new ways of reducing churn, because we find that consumers and clients of boutique fitness studios, of gyms, etc., they tend to choose those places that have these enhanced recovery and wellness solutions more than they choose other places. So very excited to have that conversation. Just as you come in, please drop your name, where you're coming in from, in the chat. We encourage any questions to be asked. There'll be a Q&A portion at the very end where you'll be able to ask questions more specifically of things that you hear in this. But other than that, let's go ahead and get started. So FitGrid and Hyperice, recovery solutions, rise and recover. Just a little bit about what we're going to go through. So there's the introduction, there's me, there's Tanner. I'll let Tanner introduce himself when we get to the about page about FitGrid, about Hyperice. He'll introduce himself briefly there. We're going to discover what recovery is all about. We're going to talk about the opportunity, how you could roll it out, and then, of course, how you can enter the giveaway that we're doing for this. So first of all, just by being here, each of you that signed up for this webinar gets access to exclusive FitGrid deals with Hyperice. And so we'll be sure to reach out to you, after that, so that we can put you in touch with Tanner and make sure that you get access to those things. But let's go for it. Just a little bit about FitGrid. We are the top integration partner with Mariana Tech. We've become the AI and community platform behind some of the biggest and most innovative names in fitness. You see some of those over to the side. We work with studios in 15 countries, thousands of studios, around the world. And my personal story around recovery is that this is the whole reason. Recovery is the whole reason why I started FitGrid. I actually had completed my first business, which does educational video games. You guys might have heard of Halo. So think Halo minus the violence, letting kids play against each other while they learn different subjects. Like a kid in New York play a kid in LA while learning math or literacy. I'd started that company. I'd done that for a while. I came out of that company, and as I was looking for my next thing, I ended up getting plantar fasciitis, which is that pain between the front and back of the feet due to not stretching enough, due to too much running, things like that. I couldn't stand for more than 15 minutes. And I went and I did private sessions with an instructor. We finally got that sort of all figured out. But along the way, I was introduced to a whole bunch of recovery tools. But during the time that I was down, I really, I did group fitness, I did boutique fitness, I did the yoga, I did the Pilates. That's what I was told to do. And that's really what helped me to be able to stand for more than 15, 20 minutes at a time. So I became very committed to both the group fitness space and also very committed to the recovery tools that are out there, because it helped me to get my life back in order. So this is something that's not only business, but also very personal to me. And so I'm very, very happy to go on the Recovery Revolution and take this tour on the road. Let me introduce you to Tanner Kaplan, my man over there with the Tom Selleck mustache. Boom.
How's it going?
Tanner, tell us about Hyperice and tell us about yourself, man.
Yeah, well, first of all, hey, thanks NT for having me. Super stoked to be here. Recovery's always been like very, very dear to my heart. So just a little introduction about myself. My name's Tanner. Obviously I work at Hyperice. But beforehand, I used to sell medical devices. But I've been an athlete my entire life. I played water polo through college, and like I said, recovery has been a huge part of my personal story. To be honest, my body is a mess. I've had 3 knee surgeries in my right knee.
Jeez.
I have 2 bulging discs in my back. I've got tendonitis in both shoulders and maybe some undiagnosed other stuff that's going on.
That's too much information, man. My God, how are you just sitting there?
Sitting sometimes is a challenge, especially with my back. But
yeah.
Yeah, so recovery's just been a huge part of my story. I used Hyperice products in college while I was playing water polo, and it's been fun to make that transition over from medical devices to the recovery world, where I get to work with athletes and different fitness partners. It's more my speed, and I love what I do. So, just a little bit of background about Hyperice. Cool little story on how we started actually. Our founder, Anthony Katz, he started as a high school public school teacher, but loved to play basketball in his free time. And he lives in Orange County, and he's a surfer as well. Ended up getting in the same circle as Kobe Bryant, and would watch all these professional athletes on
Good
the
circles.
sideline. Yeah, you would just watch all these professional athletes on the sideline with like ace bandages wrapped ice inside of it, and it's like there's got to be a better way than this. The ice is just dripping and it's just a mess. It looks unprofessional. So he went back to the drawing board and he cut up his wetsuit. Like I said, he was a surfer, cut up his wetsuit and created the first ice compression sleeve,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. So like I said, he's in the same circle as Kobe and these professional athletes, and he goes over to Kobe and says, "Hey, look what I kind of, came up with. Is there any way like you would wear this on the sideline?" And he said, Kobe goes, "Well, to be honest, this looks terrible. But if you can clean it up a little bit, absolutely." And so that's kind of where Hyperice started. But our core focus is, we're focused on helping people move better, feel better, recover faster. And it's not just athletes, it's everyday beings that, whether they work out once a month but have injuries, like this stuff will help everybody. But so we started with the ice compression, and we've innovated since then to a lot of tech products from percussion, vibration, heat, contrast therapy, and then finally last week we actually just came out with our new Hyper Boot, which we partnered with Nike on, and it's super exciting. So
That's
we're
exciting
doing
stuff.
some cool stuff in the recovery world for sure.
Very cool, man. Well, thank you for that introduction. All right, everyone. So let's just talk about recovery for a second. Let's talk about what is it. And we're all in the space, and we think we know what recovery is, but let's just make sure, right? Recovery, the technical definition is it refers to the process by which the body repairs, rebuilds, and adapts after physical activity or exercise. So rest and sleep, obviously, that is recovery. Hydration, nutrition, recovery. Active recovery, and then recovery tools and techniques. And active recovery is in the form of the exercises that we might do inside the studio. Obviously, as a studio owner, the rest and the sleep, there's not much we can do about that. Maybe some of the studios out there have nutrition programs. You certainly all provide, water coolers and all the rest of that. But the active recovery is something that we try to incorporate into the activities that we do. Certainly, I've done weightlifting, group fitness classes where that's part of the recovery that's baked in. But the tools and techniques are potentially a new world, for us, which is why I wanted to talk about that with the experts, as in Hyperice. But here it is by the numbers, and I thought some of these were absolutely fascinating. 24% of gym goers regularly use on-site wellness or recovery facilities, whether those are saunas, steam rooms, massage spa services, in 2021. Right now, that's interesting because 2021, that's actually during COVID, right? And so, even during that period, you still saw a large number of people that were going to these facilities and these tools. 20% report using specialized recovery amenities like cryotherapy and hydromassage. 36% of gym goers say access to wellness and recovery options is a deciding factor when selecting a gym or a studio. So I think that's a really, really important point, because if you think about your studio, and we all want to believe that we stand out, for what we do. But if you're one of a series of yoga or boot camp or whatever it happens to be studios, and someone's coming in and discovering you, and around the block or down the street, there's another studio that does the same modality but has wellness or more recovery options, that might seem more appealing to them, right? And so that's a big point of distinction. And of course, if no one has them but you do, then that's a point of distinction in your favor. 44% of Americans consider workout recovery important. That was from a Mind Body survey done in 2022. Not sure if you knew this, but Planet Fitness, we all know the Planet Fitness story. It's a remarkable story. 60% of their members opted into a higher tier, more VIP type Black Card membership, which is $25 per month versus a $10 basic tier, specifically so they could get access to perks like the hydro massage chairs, the tanning, the sauna amenities, etc. Right? So we all think about the $10 when we think about the pizza. I mean, I guess the real heavyweights there are paying $25, and getting access to more. And finally, 78% of members said access to amenities such as personal training, nutrition counseling, and recovery services is more important to them than having the lowest membership cost. So again, on a comparative basis, when you think about the studios that you compete with that are around you, et cetera, this is what they're looking for. So if you don't have these options, right, then you're at a disadvantage. Okay. Tanner?
Yeah, so the struggle is real. We all get
I
injury.
mean, we know you. So
Yeah,
the struggle is real, but go on.
the struggle is totally real. I'm surprised. I like to think of myself as a healthy guy. I eat right, I work out well, and yet my body continues to fail me, right? Now, there's ways to kind of get around that, but let's look at the stats here. So, with clients, injury prevalence is over 50% of physical activities or active individuals report sustaining exercise-related injuries. That is a crazy stat, in my opinion. And it's all preventative. Like the more you recover, the more you stretch, the more you take care of your body, the more likely you're gonna, be healthy and feel good, move great. And it's just crazy. Overtraining syndrome, which I think that is a perfect description of myself. Approximately 30% of non-elite endurance athletes experience overtraining syndrome, characterized by persistent fatigue, decreased performance, and increased injury risk. So recently, what I did, and I used to feel like an endurance athlete. I used to be this very active runner and swimmer back in college. And since then, I've kind of neglected my endurance with my golf game. And so recently, a couple weeks ago,
I mean,
I
is golf
started.
even a sport? Okay, sorry, keep
No,
going.
good, good. That's a good burn right there. I love it though. Anyways, so yeah, a couple weeks ago, I started running again. And after a couple weeks, I noticed something was up with my knee. And
Yeah.
it's first of all, not realizing what I'm capable of doing, getting back into it after so long, and I've been dealing with some knee problems lately, but hopping in my Normatec and it's making myself feel better. So we're gonna move on to the instructors. So big
And by the way,
part.
just as you go into this, Tanner, I do think that this is a really, really important point for studio owners in particular, because I ran a pop-up studio before I started FitGrid, and we often think about our clients, all the time, and what can we do for our clients? What can we do for our clients? And often we take our instructors for granted, right? Like but we don't have a business without them. I like to say our revenue walks in and out the door every single day. And I've heard cases where instructors doing 10, 15 classes a week, and I mean, they just burn through themselves. And, because it's so difficult for the business, you let that happen. And then you realize, oh, that person, we just cut the lifetime, of our best instructors, their lifetime in the business by 5 years or whatever, because they're just like, I can't do it anymore. So really, we need to take care of our people as well. So sorry, keep going.
No, that's an awesome point. And that's exactly what I was gonna say is like, they're an integral part of the business. They're what really makes the business work is these, whether it's a personal trainer or it's a group fitness instructor, they are the heart and soul of your business. So keeping them not only happy but healthy is, you know, like I said, integral. So Just to go over the stats real quick, burnout prevalence. So burnout affects approximately 26% of fitness professionals, leading to symptoms, fatigue, decreased motivation, increase of health issues, and just 26% is a lot. So,
Yeah.
having these tools for them to use and recover in between sessions, even, programming this, whether it's a hypervolt or even a foam roller into the group fitness class, keeps your instructors, recovered as well as your clients, which obviously big part of the business as well. Like that's how the money's coming in. So, contributing factors, long working hours, lack of recovery time, and high job demands contribute significantly to burnout. But
Speaks
yeah,
for itself,
you
right? Yeah.
you you need to keep an eye on both sides of the field, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about what we're doing, together here. Recovery services can be used and implemented inside of your studios. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about sort of the FitGrid side of things and why we can be helpful in doing that. And then we'll talk about the Hyperice side of things and the tools that can be done. And then we'll talk about the revenue models that exist for you to be able to drive that 30,000 plus, on there. But first, just on the FitGrid side, one of the things that FitGrid does is we have a suite of incredible surveys that really have been seen to be top of the class, in the industry. And we think that surveys are more than just Q&A, back and forth. They can actually serve for discovery, and the responses that we get back in terms of those surveys, the questions that can be asked, we benchmark that against other studios in the modality. So if you're a yoga studio or a boot camp studio, you'll see how your responses compare to other studios that ask the same question. And that could be the average in the modality, top 10%. And we're working on having geographical breakouts as well. So you can see how those questions, would compare against other studios in your geography. Not just about the recovery questions, which is what we'll have here, but also just in general. So how does this help you understand your clients? How does this help you understand or have an ongoing sort of relationship with the revenue that can be there? First thing is, we're going to ask you if you participate in the promotion that we're doing between May 1st and May 31st to add 2 questions in there into the surveys that use with FitGrid. You have it's a free account for that 1 month for you to be able to sort of add these questions in. How interested are you in using recovery tools or services that help your body recover faster after workouts? So this will go out to your clients, whether it's massage, compression boots, percussion devices, or stretching. So that'll help you to understand as the owner, as the manager for your studio, what's the interest there? What's the desire, right? And then second question, how willing would you be to pay for recovery options that help reduce soreness, prevent injury, and improve performance, right? So don't worry about this. You'll get instructions on how to insert this into the surveys, but is there interest? Are you willing to pay for it, right? And understanding that, and especially when we do it with other studios in your area so that you can understand, oh, my people have high interest, and in the studios in my area or the studios in my modality, here's the percentage of studios that actually have recovery solutions for them. That'll help you to understand your competitive stance in the market. Remember, we go back to the prior slide that said 78% of members said access to amenities such as personal training, nutrition counseling, and recovery services is more important than having the lowest membership cost. And 36% of gym goers say access to these options is a deciding factor when selecting a gym. So the information that you can get from these surveys help with the discovery side, help with the benchmarking side, so you can understand how you're doing compared to others, that are out there in your modality. And then finally, it can help with what I call ongoing prompting, right? We're none of us, who sit in the studio business are that great at selling, on an ongoing, we sell our memberships and all the rest of that, but, we really like to focus on our services. We like to focus on our modalities and on our activities and all of that. Well, if survey questions that are going out to your members, right, they're non-invasive and all the rest of that, but if they're going out and they're prompting them to be like, you know what, I didn't think about that, right? How interested would you be in trying a 10-minute recovery session after class? Hadn't really thought about that, but actually, good idea. I'll go check out whether or not there are options. I didn't know you had that option. How likely are you to book a recovery service if it helped reduce soreness by 50% after your hardest workouts? Right? Like we have a series of these questions that we just pop in with, suggest to you one month after another that will have continuous flow of people coming over and checking out your recovery services that you have. And that's one of the ways that you can help to drive revenue while also ensuring that your clients have a longer life, sustain less injuries, and are generally happier and more satisfied. So that's the FitGrid portion of how we can help, with doing this. Let's talk about the Hyperice. What tools do you think are best for boutique studios, Tanner?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, well, one thing I like to say about our products and everything that we do is we're 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 a cool company because of how scalable we can be, right? So, you could have a studio that has room for a whole new recovery room, where it's limited access to a whole array of Hyperice equipment, maybe some other equipment as well. And then, you could even just have like a little corner or a little recovery zone, or even just have a hypervolt that a personal trainer uses, right? We're super scalable and can get creative in how we want to appear in specific studios. So that's one thing I definitely want to mention here. I will say the most popular thing in recovery, in my opinion, like industry wide, is the Normatec boots. They're hot.
I
Even
mean, they
not
look
even
hot,
just go
right?
for it.
They look hot. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
they're
like
top
a
of the
fashion
line.
statement.
No, it's so true though. Like our top partners, EOS Fitness. I know it's not a studio,
Sure.
but they're killing it with this. They're making so much extra revenue, and they're helping their clientele, be healthy, recover better, and providing that healthy option. So the Normatec, I definitely recommend, especially if you're trying to monetize some of this recovery equipment. It's just going to be super popular. It's probably going to be the easiest way to do it. And then obviously that zero gravity chair there, it's movable, it's mobile, it's lightweight, so very easy to get in and out of a smaller studio per se. You could even have it in a lobby. And then percussion, everybody's looking for a deep tissue massage of some sort, right?
Yeah.
It really disperses blood flow in a really cool way. And we've seen that the percussion is definitely up there with compression as well. But yeah,
Let
like
me
I
let me
said,
ask some questions, man, because I imagine I understand how this could work. So, but you're the expert. So, if I have a studio, um, I know that a lot of studio owners like they might have the massage gun, they might have one massage gun or
Mhm.
whatever. But what you're saying is you could take a chair, like choose a section of the studio, put a chair, put some boots and a massage gun or whatever, and like that's a lounge, right? Like literally like a
Exactly.
section, those three things, that's a lounge. Is that what you see people doing primarily, or do they have like racks of the guns or racks of the compression boots? Like, what are the different configurations that you see?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Like so a couple of our really good partners at 45, Orange Theory,
Yeah, we've heard of
which
them.
I'm assuming are, very similar in the FitGrid world and in your partners and whatnot.
Yeah.
The spaces that they have, they've put in a Normatec, some percussion guns, a zero
Yeah.
gravity chair, put it in the lobby, and with the Normatec, they'll book different sessions. But
Mhm.
you know that's definitely a very very popular way to do it.
In
We've
in
got
the
some,
lobby even, right? So
yeah.
just right up front, like just a chair, almost like a massage, like one of those airplane like massage chairs. Whoever's lucky enough to get it, I mean, you might have to book it ahead of time, but just right there, boom.
Well, it's a great way to market your recovery devices too. It's right there in the open.
Sure.
So yeah, people are always like, oh, we don't have space. We have a small little lobby. I'm like, well, it's a zero gravity chair that's super movable. You can
Yeah.
bring it out whenever you want, and people make ROI pretty quick. But yeah,
We're
so
going to talk about these. They have like ROI in 2 to 4 months, 2 to 3 months, which I'm like fascinated by. We'll talk
I've
about
seen
that.
it
Keep going.
faster. I've seen it faster.
Yeah.
Really.
Wow.
It's pretty cool what people are able to do with the Normatec. But we've also got, commercial integration solutions, so shelving solutions for percussion or myofascial release tools, and some anti-theft kind of configurations as well. So there's some cool stuff that you're able to do with our products, and like I said, very scalable.
Very cool. Okay. Well, let's talk about the revenue then, because I think that this is where we get to, one of the interesting parts. And we talked about the ROI. You can see over there on the side, ROI of 20x, and we'll get to the numbers in a second. But what are some of the revenue models that you've seen studio owners use?
Yeah, so it's again another great question. Like how can we implement this, right? So there's definitely a couple different ways. Pay per use. So what we really try to do with the pay per use model is, you're booking sessions, right? So typical session is 15 to 30-minute sessions. They're pre-programmed into the Normatec. Um, and what we suggest is a minute per session, which is kind of industry standard. Now, if you're in an affluent area, let's say you're like, midtown New York City, right? Prices could go a little bit more than that. You could probably sell it a little bit more expensive, and people would still, you know, want to spend that because it's a one-stop shop. You don't have to leave the studio, but you can book your sessions, and yeah, so pay per use is one of them. Then we have the membership tiering. So, and this is what I see most effective, especially if you have a base membership where people have access to the studio throughout the month. Um, it's basically you've got that baseline membership, and then you can kind of add a premium membership where you have access to all of this equipment in addition to going to these classes. And
And
I
this is
find this,
where, guys, we put some of the examples of folks that you can go and you can see or take classes with or go and see the pricing structures of, and some of the ways that we've seen that out there. So the pay-per-use definitely, and the membership tiering, and then class recovery.
yeah, class plus recovery bundles. It's like I said, so scalable. You could do this any way you want, right? You gave the example of a 5 pack that includes a post-class recovery. Selling recovery in addition to, like, I'll put it this way. So personal trainers, they sell bundles of classes that they teach their clients, right? You can add another recovery day to the end of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another way for you to add another class to it's basically just an additional source of revenue, like after that bundle. So it's pretty cool what you can do. Class plus recovery, membership tiering, pay per use. You could even use all three if you wanted. So different
Very
ways to
cool.
do it.
And then over on the right, what we did a little math to show people how this could possibly work, right? So what we were imagining when we say 1 chair, 2 chairs, 3 chairs, this is how you get from, sort of the $30,000 number that we had talked about to 200,000 plus. And it isn't that hard. So let's just start down at the very bottom. The cost of what we're calling a recovery lounge, right? $1,500. That's your Normatec compression boots. That's a Hypervolt massage gun. That is your zero gravity chair. The thing that you talked about putting in the lobby or you put in a corner of your studio. So let's assume that you have 5 classes a day. Most studios have something like that. So after class, one person from each class says they're interested in doing that. So that's 5 people per day. There are 26 monetizable days in the month, just, removing Sundays, for example. So you could do it on Saturdays, and you have 12 months in a year. If you price that as a session, and I think that you typically, what you've talked about, Tanner, is that you see folks doing like $1 per minute sort of thing, with sessions going 15 to 30 minutes, depending on how they do that. So we just chose $20, like 20-minute sessions, but you could choose 15 minutes, you could choose 10 minutes, $10, and the numbers sort of scale. So if you did that, then your revenue over the course of a year is another $31,000. If you put 3 chairs in, that's another almost $100,000. And remember that the cost of this lounge is about $1,500 one time, right? So the 1 chair, you put the $1,500 in one time, and you're getting revenue of $31,000 over the course of the year, that's a 20x ROI. I'm assuming that this stuff doesn't break down like every other month, right, Tanner?
No, I don't think so.
Fair enough.
I
Fair
don't
enough.
think
So
so at
get two
all.
or three chairs in there. I mean, shoot, create a new wing or whatever once you realize what demand is, and you've scaled up revenue quite substantially. So that's one of the ways that's out there. There are other ways that you might have questions about other ways that can happen. Please feel free, to ping us. But I wanted to get to how, if you're interested in hearing more about this and also the promotion that we're doing, go to events.fitgrid.com/recovery and put your name inside there. I know you put your names in for this to sign up for this webinar. There, we're interested in understanding what you might be interested in from a recovery service perspective. So from the FitGrid side of things, the surveys are part of the promotion that we'll talk about down at the bottom. But one of the things that we're also considering doing is we can see that the activities that your clients are doing, the number of times, the intensity with which they do them. Also on the instructor side, you can see how often they're working out. And we might be able to offer, what recovery exercises might work for the activities that they're doing, and send those out in a personalized way to them. So if you go to the website, go to this website, not only will this be where you can let us know that you're interested in either one of those options, but also where you let us know that you're interested in being put in touch with Tanner for the FitGrid exclusive deals/discounts that you might get on the Hyperice tools. And then as far as the promotion that we're doing, that promotion will be May 1st through May 31st. So you have between now and what is it, April 30th, 30 days past September, April, yeah. So between now and April 30th to go and actually take care of all the things that are necessary to sign up. You'll receive a package of information that will allow you to understand what needs to be done. Complete the sign-up process. You get 1 month of our survey software free of charge. So during that May 1st, May 31st promotion, you add the 2 questions in. The winner of the promotions, there will be one winner that gets the Hyperice Lounge, and then there'll be 20 winners that get a Hypervolt massage gun. Everybody gets these FitGrid exclusive, deals and discounts with Hyperice. The way that the winners are chosen, for the promotion is in putting those 2 questions in to the surveys. We basically take the responses, do a calculation that we describe in the rules, and the person that gets, or the studio group that has the highest, so the most people that are interested and most people that are willing to pay, we basically add those together, and whoever's at the top wins. If there's a tie, then that becomes a random sort of thing that we pull out. So that's how you jump in and how you get involved in this. We're very, very excited to do this. We'll announce the winners on June 5th, and we hope that you guys will jump in and sign up as we take this recovery tour on the road. Tanner, do you have anything else that you want to tell the good people about?
I mean, I think you hit it all. I mean, this is one of the most informative recovery webinars/trainings that I've been on.
You're making me blush, and I will
No,
blush.
thanks for having me, man. It's been fun. Excited to see the winners, and I'm excited to get some recovery into some of these studios. I'm all juiced up right now.
There we go. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining. Does anyone have any questions out there? Let's open it up for a bit. Questions? Concerns, thoughts? People want to tell Tanner how much they love his mustache. We're open to everything.
We're taking crazes too.
That's right. No go. All right, everyone. Thank you very much. Please feel free to reach out to us if you have any additional questions. We're very excited to do this. We're very excited that you joined us for this, and we'll see you soon. Tanner, thank you, man.
Hey, thanks, NT.
All right, talk to you guys.